Alright, this is 2-1 Notes Part 2, or 2-1 Notes Midpoint Part 2. We're going to find the other endpoint, given one endpoint of a line segment and the midpoint of the line segment. We're going to use our missing endpoints formulas that we have down here. So to find the other x value, we're going to take our x middle, and we're going to multiply it by 2, and then subtract the other x value that's given to us. So, here's my work. We know the x midpoint is 2. So 2 times 2 is 4, and then 4 minus the other x endpoint is 12. So 4 minus 12 is negative 8. Now we're going to do the same thing with our y's. So I know my y values of the endpoint is 18, and the y value of the midpoint is 4. So we're going to plug that into our formula. y1, to find the other missing y coordinate, we take our y middle, multiply it by 2. So our y middle is 4. We multiply that by 2 to get 8, and then 8 minus the other y endpoint, 18, will get us y equals negative 10. So the other endpoint is negative 8, negative 10. Let's do another one here. So our goal, once again, for example number 12, is to find the other endpoint of the line segment with the given midpoint and endpoint. So our endpoint is 2438. Our midpoint is 610. So I'm going to use my missing endpoint formulas. Put that here in the bottom left-hand corner. So we solve for x. Alright, remember our x values is first in the coordinates, so x is 24, and our midpoint x value is 6. So 6 times 2 is 12. Then we're going to subtract the other endpoint x value, 24. So 12 minus 24 gets us x equals negative 12. The 38 and the 10 are our y values. The y middle is the 10. So y equals 10 times 2 minus 38. 10 times 2 is 20. 20 minus 38 is negative 18. So my answer, the other midpoint, sorry, the other endpoint, is negative 12 comma negative 18. Let's do another. Example 13. Remember, our x values come first in the coordinates, so we have x equals negative 14, and our midpoint x value is 16. We plug them in. We take our midpoint value and we double it. So 16 times 2 is 32. And then we subtract the negative 14. So 16 times 2 is 32. 2 negatives in a row turn into a positive. Pardon me. 32 plus 14 is 46. So that's my x value. Do the same thing with my y values. So one endpoint is 38 for the y value, and the other is 24. 24 times 2 is 48, minus the 38, which is from this other endpoint. So 48 minus 38 is 10. So my answer is 46 comma 10. And this is the other endpoint. Alright. So fill in the blank. The midpoint is located in the middle of the line. So when the left and the right side of the midpoint has the same distance, what is the mathematical symbol we use to represent that is the same or the equality? Well, you guys know. That's just the equal sign. So when something is equal or the same, those are some keywords, we're going to use the equal sign. So with that being said, let's look at this problem right here. Example number 14. Alright, find the measure of PQ if Q is the midpoint of PR. So Q is in the middle. Since Q is in the middle of P and R, we know the length PQ is the same length as QR. So when something is the same, you set them equal to each other. So 9y minus 2 is equal to 14 plus 5y. We then use our inverse operation skills. We add 2 to both sides, where we put the like terms right underneath each other. So then we get 9y is equal to 14 plus 2 is 16 plus 5y. We then subtract 5y from both sides. 9y minus 5y gets us 4y. These cancel out, so that we have 16. We then divide by 4 to both sides, and we get y equals 4. Now remember what the question is asking of you. Our goal is to find the measure of PQ. We just solved for y. Now we got to take that y value of 4 and substitute it back in. So PQ is equal to 9 times 4, because we found out the y value is 4, minus 2. So 9 times 4 is 36. 36 minus 2 is 34. So PQ, that line segment, PQ is equal to 34. Alright, number 15. Find the measure of PQ if Q is the midpoint of PR. So Q is in the middle, so that means this guy is equal to this one. So 10y minus 8 is equal to 16 plus 6y. So we set them equal to each other. We add 8 to both sides. We get 10y equals 24 plus 6y. We subtract our 6y from both sides. So we get 4y equals 24. Divide by 4 to both sides. We get y equals 6. Now remember, they're asking us what is the measure of PQ. So we got to substitute it back in. PQ is equal to 10 times 6 minus 8. So 10 times 6 is 60. 60 minus 8 is 52. PQ is equal to 52. Example number 16. Same style. We know Q is in the middle of PR, so these two line segments, these two lengths are equal to each other. So 12y minus 6 is equal to 16 plus 6y. You add 6 to both sides. You get 12y is equal to 22 plus 6y. We subtract 6y from both sides. So we get 6y is equal to 22, because 12y minus 6y is 6y. We divide by 6 to both sides, and we get y is equal to 3.6 bar notation. Now we're going to substitute that in. So PQ is equal to 12 times 3.6 bar notation. What you could do when you put it in a calculator, you put a whole bunch of 6's in there. I would say put like 8 to 10 of them in there. Close parentheses and then multiply those two together. You're going to get 44. And 44 minus 6 is 38. Alright. Here's the classwork on the homework. If you have any questions, feel free to email me or come next show. I'll be happy to help you out. Alright, have yourself a nice night.